Hello, fellow Minecrafters. Gearsaw Studios here. Today I'm going to show you how to build a gingerbread house, so that way you can have the most festive house in town. However, before I begin, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, onto the tutorial. For our palette in this build, we're just going to use a very simple palette. For the inside floor, we're going to use some birch planks, and the outside will have some brown concrete, which will serve most purposes, with an accent of smooth quartz, which will serve for our frosting, because no gingerbread house is complete without that sugar-filled frosting. Then, you'll probably want to find a nice flat area, such as right here. So, make sure to find a nice flat area, preferably snowy. I've decided to add an extra block for the palette, soul soil, because it looks a lot like chocolate. So, in order to do this, start by building a foundation. And I'm going to use soul soil because it looks like just some nice layered chocolate. And no one's really going to think about how it probably contains souls. So, make a foundation just like this. Now, with this foundation in, start supporting it with some nice frosting, also known as smooth quartz, because the foundation will look a lot better with the added depth to it. So, find where it is, and just make a rough draft of where this little thing's going to go, because you have to account for where the door is going to be before you actually finish off this frosting foundation. So, locate where you want the door to be. It can be a single or a double. And it really doesn't matter. Just if you have an even amount of blocks, you should probably do double doors, unless you have it off to the side. So the foundation's looking pretty decent, but I decided to add some extra details. So continue adding extra details, because it really does add that much to the foundation. So just some stairs, and don't forget to do it to all the sides, because if it's only the front, someone's going to turn around and just realize that the build is not actually complete. So go around and finish that. Now, we should make an entrance into it, but there's a bit of an issue. For some, including me, it might be hard to figure out what level you want it to be at. So, just fill in this area, and then you'll be able to decide. Also, annoyingly, there's an airplane just as I'm trying to record this clip, so please excuse any background noise. So, birch planks, and now we can figure out where we want everything to be a little bit better. Since this is going to be the entrance, now we can base stairs off of it, and we can have a little way in. So, this is just a little thing I recommend doing, and now we can figure out what we're going to do now. So, decorate this with some good old smooth quartz stairs. Now that we have the floor and the staircase in, we can start developing the walls up. So, I've actually added more blocks to the palette, this time some dark oak logs that are stripped, because simply flat brown concrete walls won't cut it. So, just do this all around, and don't forget that you can do some of this to add a little bit more of that good old frosting, so that way it's still detailed. With that neat detail added, and some more detailing here, it's time to add the door, so that way you can get in and out, totally not like there's any walls stopping you. So, what you have to do is add some walls so it can stop you to make the door actually useful. The walls are pretty much just going to be made out of some brown concrete, and although I definitely like to make it segmented, it might be a little hard in this build, and it's not necessarily bad to not have it segmented in this particular kind of build, because remember, you're going to have a lot of different random concrete splotches to be little gumdrops, so don't forget about that. Also, if you're stumped, don't forget you can add another block to the palette to make it segmented. So, I've added dark oak logs to the mix, and it's looking pretty good, especially with these multicolored glass pane windows. So, it's looking pretty good, but I figured out something else. add details like this to make it just have a little extra texture, because I don't actually know the names of these. All I know is that they're prevalent on gingerbread houses, and they're a good way to add details. So I recommend adding these because they're quite easy to do and add a lot more to the build in a normally undetailable build. Now, we need to make preparations for a second layer to this build. So, just start placing down dark oak logs like this, and this will be covered up by details later. Then, just repeat pretty much exactly what you've done down here, minus the frosting details. Now, with pretty much an exact copy of the lower floor, just with different window patterns, it's time to add some gumdrops to this build, which is the hallmark of any gingerbread house. So, start by adding one concrete block, preferably red or any other vibrant color, and then start just expanding using a specific array of colors. So, don't make it completely random unless you want to, but try not to have two repeating in a row. So, something like this should work, and then make sure to connect them by using some of that good old frosting, preferably with extra details like this. Now, with some good old frosted gumdrops and some gumdrops down here, we have a very, very nice looking build so far. But there's one thing that is left to do: the roof. So get out your dark oak and start building roof. But here's the thing: it's snowy. So this is not going to be a conventional roof, because there's something way better you can do. Instead of building a conventional roof that's just filled in, instead have it have solid blocks, so that way you can have a ton of snow layers instead of a normal roof. So build out the normal frame, but then use solid blocks here, like this. With this roof filled in, except on this part, it's time to add the top snow, so that way this part is finished. The thing is about top snow is you can stack it a lot, so you can create some quite interesting shapes and patterns, because it's so random and really realistic for a Minecraft block. So a layer like this, repeated a lot, will create quite a nice pattern. So get out your octo clicker or have 10 CPS like me, and just start placing for a while, because eventually you'll get a nice effect that looks like this. Remember to cover up some of those brown concrete blocks that might be poking through, though, because it can't be all snow, otherwise you'll see it. As you start doing this, you might notice an issue. Since you have these brown concrete blocks so the front looks okay, you have to have snow blocks here to constantly cover it up, so it's not going to work. So there's a solution to this. What you can do is just thicken this a little. Replace your current stairs with some slabs or full blocks, and then put new stairs under it, so that way the entire situation is solved pretty easily. Now, with these beautiful snow-covered roofs, an amazing detail, I'm probably going to use that more often, it's time to fill in these walls that will become the attic, which I'm probably not going to use. So, just fill it in with some dark oak, and you could add some gumdrops, possibly even a window. But an important detail to realize is that, remember, the inside is snow, so you're going to have to add some stairs in order to hide that. So make sure to hide the snow, and then what you do is just add some windows and light it up to make sure that you don't have a random spider in your attic making funny noises. With a little extra frosting and a complete attic, we now have a practically finished exterior, which means it's interior time. Start by just replacing the floor's edges with some good old dark oak planks, because it adds a little more detail to the otherwise rather flat floor. I've added the floor details, and instead of doing stairs, I recommend doing a ladder. It's more space efficient, and it's a gingerbread man probably living here. And with all that fast running, stairs are probably his enemy because he could fall down them. So ladders are a safer option. Now, don't forget to light up this rather dark room. So use some lanterns and just place them around. Because they produce a lot of light, they'll prevent mobs from spawning while also lighting up the room significantly. Now, before you start doing any significant decorating, I've decided that I'm going to add a nice fireplace. And it's also going to have a furnace, so it suits two different purposes. So what you do is just do what I just did, and then make it just go through all the floors. Then figure out where it comes out approximately. So it comes out about here, and then you can make it just wind around, and you can add a campfire or something along the lines of that. But it seems like it's not working here, so if you can make it work, do it. But I'm not going to have it come out of the top. Now, with the inside ready to be decorated, I recommend adding a table at one side of the build and make it relatively long, because this can be a nice table in order for someone to cook some nice gingerbread cookies. Or if the gingerbread man is living here, just a nice dinner table. So, with a table right here, it's just a little bit more homely. And you can also add item frames containing cookies. So, on the other side, add some smokers, because remember, this is still supposed to be a functional build. Then you can just do something like this to decorate them. And now you have a kind of simple cooking array. Don't forget your blast furnace somewhere though, because that's still something you have to add. With a couple other essentials added around sporadically, it's time to move up to the second floor. So I highly recommend adding an enchanting table, since it's already a semi-magical build considering gingerbread men will probably be living near this. So might as well just add an enchanting table. Of course, the challenge is, as well, getting level 30 without making it look ugly. So, just placing down some bookshelves, it seems like this is probably going to be enough. So, if you just add a couple more, we have a proper level 30 table. So, pretty simple to do this. With the enchanting setup moved and decorated, it's time to make a bed. So, placing down a simple bed or two, and then just getting your flower pot and filling it up with a flower of your choice. So I'm going to go with the blue orchid because I particularly like orchids in real life. So place down that and fill it up with a blue orchid. And now you have a nice bed. Then fill up the room with whatever you can think of. With the details in the interior finished, I'd call this gingerbread house almost done. But it's missing one detail, and that's just a little bit of landscaping outside. So, grab your red concrete and grab some white concrete because it's candy cane time. You can also do green candy canes if you so choose. And a candy cane is very simple. Start off with all white, then curve down like this, and then remove every other block with red. And you can also make them a little different, but now you have a pretty simple thing. And you can also go inside and grab some lanterns, but that might melt nearby snow, so if you don't like seeing the cold grass, you probably should not attach lanterns. But if you're okay with that, then build these candy canes. Now, with these candy canes added, and a fancy little bench right here, the gingerbread house is done. So, looking on the inside, it has all the functional things you need. All three furnaces, smithing table and grindstone, cartography table, stone cutter and crafting table, and upstairs you have a couple of tables just for decoration, brewing stands behind the enchanting station, two beds, and just overall good lighting. And if need be, you can expand it just by going up here. So, overall, a very good build. So, with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, remember to exercise, take care, Gearsaw,